Thank you for turning to 10, your news leader. 10 News Conference with Gene Valicenti continues right now.
This is our second week for Meet the Mayors. Last week we had Mayor Lombardi from North Providence and the new Mayor Policina from Johnson. Now I've got the Warwick Mayor Frank Picozzi in with us. Mayor, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for inviting me.
I like to talk to the mayors. That's where the action gets done, right? Politics,
Yes.
They say, is local.
It is.
Really is local for you.
It really is, yes.
Right. I know I left the light on for you, just like Motel 6 does. You've been in the news more with this Motel 6. The state is housing the homeless at Motel 6 on Jefferson Boulevard, right in your community.
Yes.
I heard on the news just last week that you had 300 police calls there between October of last year and present time this year. Is that possible, Mayor?
It is. I mean, some of it's directed patrols. It's always been a problem area, long before the homeless. And we have police patrol it on a regular basis. So they're directed calls, but we get a lot of calls about it, too.
Right. Well, what's there, Mayor? A transient population? Because it's right by the highway. You don't know who's going in, and drugs and everything like that, is it?
It is. I mean, it's got a history of that. This isn't a place where families stop. Or, hopefully they don't. But now with the homeless, that's gotten magnified. Now we're getting 55 more. So, we're expecting that business to pick up there.
All right, let's dig in. Now, the state's going to put the homeless there, 55 to 60 of them. It's about half the building, is my understanding.
Well, yes, there are already 40 there that Thrive Behavior Services has been housing since around Thanksgiving.
So is this basically almost a whole hotel now?
It's getting close. I mean, there are 120 rooms there, and this will occupy 95 altogether. And they told us that this new organization may take over more rooms.
Okay, so that's basically becoming a de facto homeless shelter.
Yes.
You've seen this before on the other end of town at the Nilo, which was billed as a high-end boutique hotel, New York loft. Nilo. It's different over there. The neighborhood really didn't want them. I noticed Crossroads didn't go back to the Nilo this time.
No.
The state has people now on the Motel 6. It's a different setup over there. Is it a better setup?
It's better than Nilo because Nilo is right in the middle of a neighborhood.
Right.
It's right where the malls are. On Jefferson Boulevard, where Motel 6 is pretty much isolated from the rest of the city.
If you walk up the hill, that's where the old Bugaboo used to be, across the streets of Dunkin' Donuts, got a gas station. If I keep walking, Mayor, when do I start to impact the neighborhood, or you're not going to?
You're not from there unless you cross the Amtrak trains, and there's fences there, hills. Right behind Motel 6, if you keep going, it's all commercial. It's a commercial and industrial. And then you would come to Woods and eventually you come out to Elmwood Avenue. But that's quite a distance away.
Right.
But around Motel 6, there are a lot of businesses, and we have 2 daycares right there.
Okay, now talk to that, because people have said there are daycares right next to the Motel 6.
And they're concerned. I met with one of the owners yesterday. They had some concerns. They're right behind Motel 6. You can look through the fence and see the people hanging around there, uncomfortable. And actually, after we're done taping this, I'm meeting with the police chief. We're going to go down and meet with him again. There are a couple of other area business owners that want to have a meeting, and we've asked Stefan Pryor's office to meet with them with us.
Right. You can understand the concern now, because unfortunately the homeless population brings attendant problems.
Yes.
Drug abuse, other sorts of problems. That's a whole host of social problems. So they're moving that into your town, in that hotel, and the guy is running a daycare a few feet away. What do you do? What do you say?
Well, that's what we want to get. We're trying.
Not necessarily to him, but what do you say to the governor? Hold on a second. Are you going to give me money from my police department to keep going there? You're asking for it.
I have said that to him, and he was open to it. He was receptive. He's talked about the host communities, because we can handle it now, but we have 40 homeless rooms there now. But it's going to get busier. I mean, the 55 coming in. So we may have to put on another shift, because I have to protect the whole rest of the city. And in the summer, Warwick's a hopping place. If they're tied up there all the time, we can't respond to Potawatomi, to Oakland Beach, where we need to be. We may have to put a shift on. I don't have extra police officers around. This would be overtime. It could cost the city a significant amount of money, not to mention the fire department. We spend a lot of time there with rescues, and it ties them up. We have to bring in other cities for mutual aid. So this could get very expensive for the residents. So we're going to look for the state to reimburse us for these costs.
And the governor seems amenable to that.
He does.
All right. Well, I hope you get the money. It's an expense. But let me ask you this. If you've had trouble at that hotel before, for years, why haven't you moved to close them down as a public nuisance?
Because we don't have the legal authority to do it.
You can make a case and say it's a public nuisance. You could pick up the phone and say, I want to talk to the president of Motel 6. Look, I don't like what you're operating over here. Would you consider that?
Well, that's been done. And our legal opinions have been you can't close it down. I mean, it is a nuisance, but I mean, that'd be a long court case.
All right. Well, it leads us to another. You're bringing Live PD, which it's got a different name now, but it's the same. It's the same live police show that's on cable TV. A lot of people like it. I've told you on the radio, I think it gives a black eye to any city that hosts it, because all we see is the underside of your city for an hour or so. And now, it's just in time for Live PD. You've got the homeless moving in with attendant problems. Are we going to see that on national television, Mayor? Do you think that's a good idea?
I don't think it's a bad idea, because that's not all you see on Live PD. I don't know if you've ever watched, but I mean, they just show a lot of interactions. I mean, some of it's, traffic stops. I'm very proud of my police department. I like to showcase them. It shows what professionals they are, the skills they have. I mean, they run into people with mental issues, and it's the procedure they have to deal with it. It showcases my police department, and I'm not afraid to show. You call it the underside of Warwick. I mean, because it shows a lot of aspects of Warwick, and it's, as I've told you, we went back and forth. I mean, there's nothing that
it's okay to disagree with me. Listen, you're the mayor. You have to. Okay, you green lighted it. It is the underbelly. It is the underside. It's police work.
It is
drunk calls, domestic fights. I don't think it's a good look. But go ahead. I'm listening.
No, I mean, the incidents. The media will put the same thing on. People walk around with a movie studio now, an iPhone, and they put those videos on. At least this shows the whole thing, the true story, how it happens, the beginning, the end.
Okay, so do you get any money from this? Does the city benefit other than publicity?
We don't benefit, but they pay all our expenses.
Okay.
And we don't know when it's going to start now. There's been some scheduling conflicts. So they said they'll get back to us at the end of the summer. It was scheduled to start right around now, but there's been some kind of delays. I don't know if it's the writer's strike or scheduling, but they just told us they'll let us know.
All right. Well, we'll follow it when they do come. You're welcome. It's the new version of Live PD, which is on cable. It was taken off, and now it's back. Mayor, I have just about 2 minutes. I want to give you something to talk about that's positive in Warwick, and a lot of things are positive. You just got the first flight from Rhode Island to California, nonstop direct.
Right.
That's a big deal.
It is.
And your sewage project is progressing over in Connecticut in that part. Talk a little bit about the nuts and bolts of being the mayor of Warwick now. What's good in your town?
Well, that sewer project, that had been delayed for over 25 years. It was going to be very expensive for the residents, the assessments. And it still is expensive. We were able to reduce that by a third. I put some ARPA money towards it. Our system is underutilized, which damages the system. It's made for a certain amount of flow, and we haven't had it. That area, Bayside, it's right up against the bay. We were polluting the bay with it. So, it makes the homes worth more money. It makes the quality of life better there. We have a lot of development going on in Warwick right now. In the planning stages, it's going to lead to about 800 apartments. We have 2 more hotels. One's testing the waters right now coming in. We're bringing residents in. It's all in the intermodal zone. It's a transit-oriented district.
Right.
It's a different way of life than Warwick really has now. We have the Interlink there. We have the train station and the airport. It's the perfect place for it. It's been hanging around for over a decade, waiting for it to blossom, and it's starting to.
Just about 30 seconds left. Look, Coeisset's beautiful. Warwick Neck is beautiful. It's beautiful spots of Warwick Neck. Where do you think the next up-and-coming neighborhood is? You and I were chatting off camera. Connecticut. Waterfront property.
Yeah.
Would you invest there? What about Oakland Beach? Is that
would.
coming back? I hear it is, but then sometimes you go in there, it looks a little hit and miss.
Yeah, well, Oakland Beach is Oakland Beach. I mean, there are new residents moving in. They're building better houses, but they have a community there. They've been there for generations, and they love their area, and they're really nice people. They're not Warwick Neck. They're Oakland Beach. Connecticut's making a real nice comeback. There's a retail strip there that's been most of the buildings been empty for years, but they're starting to fill up again.
All right, you live on that end of town.
Yes.
Mayor, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
I'll see. Well, everybody goes through Warwick every day, so I'll see you in the Appinator. Thanks, Mayor Picozzi.